what's on your mind today?
Well, you had mentioned before that you thought we might do some overcoming seller and buyer reluctance, that we'd break that down into 2 sessions. So I prepared for that. That being said, I mean, a lot changes in Bold Pivot needs wise in 4 days. So did you see or hear anything that you think might be more powerful?
I think it really is I think staying with the theme of it, and not only the theme of the market. Did you see I think maybe you did see it. I went on the limb and I'm calling this the GOAT market. Do you see that?
I love it. Yep, I saw it, and I agree with you. I think that's a brilliant strategy to take, and I think it's a good message for sellers. I think it's, there's a little bit of a different feel probably for buyers. However, I did think about referencing in Shift, there's that whole buyer section. Like I literally make my team, ask my team consistently to review how important it is to use some of these conversations, because I think sometimes when people hear shift, that they automatically are thinking, oh, it's a downward shift and it's going to impact the seller negatively. And I think that we forget that there's a shift for the buyer. And that's when it comes to / negative positive, who's the market quote good for. I think
we're recording right now. This conversation, this is just unplugged. Maybe this might be worthwhile to see kind of behind the curtain, because okay, you have a team, I have a team, and right, we have a lot of experience. So let's talk about that. Here, one of the interesting things that I find with what you're saying is on a shift, is that when you ask how the market's doing, everyone seems to think it's a good market when the sellers are winning and the buyers are losing.
I think that's just kind of the general thought process. Yeah, and I think what we forget is in tactic number 5 in the shift, it says scarcity defines the shift. Scarcity, that's what defines a shift. And I think that oftentimes we kind of go to that place of if the scarcity is with the seller and the seller's in danger, then we see real estate as in danger, and it's really not the case at all. That's why we talk so much about opportunity being within a shift, and that comes both ways. We're seeing the particular opportunity, like you're saying, the greatest of all time, the GOAT market for a seller. Absolutely. If I were considering selling my home anytime in the next probably 2 or even 3 years, none of us have the crystal ball. We all know that. Yet I would be seriously considering how I was going to plan to get my home sold, and what my housing plan was going to be to wait this thing out or sit through it or whatever, or invest within it. There's so many options. And I think that we as real estate agents, you and Aubrey just got done talking about it. We've got to be the local economist of choice. And to do that, we've got to understand every aspect of it and what opportunity comes where. So.
Well, what's interesting about that is I have a outline of a book, and my vision is I'll be on stage someday is with Gary Keller going through the axioms of real estate. It's kind of a boring title. However, what makes the market work? And actually, kind of my big aha today when I was out walking, I believe the Lord kind of spoke to me, is like, I've been doing this so long, they don't want to talk to me. I mean, my volume is like, so I'm doing, 250 houses a year. Our goal this year is 300. If we can get there, then 500 in 3 years. That's not a big whoop, right? For somebody who's been doing it 37 years, I should be like 18,000 houses a year or something like that. However, what I think that I have is, and what I can give people is perspective and insight into the market. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, when you think about this market we're in right now, and I call it the GOAT, the greatest market of all time, it's because we've got everything good.
That would be the GMOAT.
All right. Well, I didn't do well in spelling. Greatest market. No, greatest of all times. Right.
There you go.
There's no M. All right. All right. And you're from North Carolina, and you're correcting me in Florida. We can't count votes here in Florida. Okay. So.
Doggone.
Now I lost my train of thought. Where was I going?
You're talking about perspective.
Yeah, perspective. Like, for example, talking about how the market works. Mm-hmm. There's more than one market. I don't really think there's such a thing as a seller's market or a buyer's market, Molly. I think there's a seller's segment and a buyer's segment.
Mhm.
And how we understand that, like, for example, there's always a shift in some segment. Gary has been predicting the shift for a lot of years, and maybe 4, 5, 6 years, only from the historical cycles, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
And here's the thing. The media and the agents, all we talk about is how fast the sweet spot's moving. In our upper end, we've seen a shift for some time.
Right. No
Are
doubt.
you seeing that in North Carolina?
Yep. And we've been watching these trends. One of the things that Matt and I do as a mega team, we're very similar in production and actually goals to you, Denny, is one of the things that we really do at a high level is understand our role as the economist of choice and understanding that's got to be research based. There's nuance, intuition, authenticity, all of that, of course, comes into play. Yet if you don't know the trends, you don't watch what's going on. I don't care if you've been in the market for 15 days or 15 years, that's got to be something that you begin to work on from the very start. So understanding what the trends are and how they're impacting your market, even down to something including those micro markets, like you were saying, there's segments. So within every buyer segment and seller segment, there's different shifts happening within them. In our market, it is a very, very strong segmented market in favor of the seller right now, just like it is many places, until you're a downtown condo listed over $2 million. And then, the buyers have some things to choose from. So we've really got to understand the perspective and how it comes into play, because I don't know when I'm going to get a $200,000 buyer who's going to be in multiple offer situations with 18 other offers, or I get that $2 million downtown buyer who's going to have 15 things to choose from.
Exactly.
We've got to be able to take the professional approach no matter what.
So we might just publish this, you guys, if you're seeing it, that means we did publish this uncut live, and we're just unplugged talking about this, because Molly's right. It used to be back in the dark ages before the internet, you had to be the marketing expert, because if you didn't know how to market the home, didn't know how to write a classified ad, get it in the Sunday paper so people in Cleveland could see it on the weekends, they weren't shopping for real estate in Florida from the north. There was no way to do it. We had to use print and snail mail. Now that the internet has made the real estate market efficient, we need to be the market expert. And
Right.
what Molly is talking about is exactly right. When somebody would ask you how the market's doing, that's like driving by the hospital and asking, how are patients feeling in the hospital? Well, that's like driving by the stadium there where the Panthers are going to play the Bucks and ask, how are the fans feeling? The answer is, it depends if they're winning or losing. It depends on if you're in ICU or the maternity. So
Right.
what Gary talks about in Shift, and we want to impart to you right now, that in the market we're in, start working towards understanding the market segmentation by product type, condo, single family homes, by price range, by golf course or waterfront or whatever you specialize in, start understanding that it acts differently. A professional golfer has to play in the rain, the wind, beautiful weather. It's the same game, different environment.
Speaking of weather, Denny, that's actually a really good point. Your analogy about driving by the hospital and saying, how are the patients today? The media would like you to believe, and frankly, this is what a lot of our consumers and folks, this is how they're educated, right? They get the notice from the news that it's sunny in America today, right? And when we're talking about the real estate markets, it's sunny today. There could be pockets of rain, and there could be hail, there could be a tornado somewhere, and it might be absolutely gorgeous another place. So it's a lot like thinking about a general forecast. Really, it gets down to the minutia. And we've got to pay attention to that. And that's why Denny and I have been doing these little niblets for y'all, because there's so much importance rooted, not just in knowing it yourself, in then knowing how to deliver it, how to talk about it, how to use the information to help people make the decision. Gary Keller says on page 89 of the Shift book, this isn't a game of chance, but a game of scripts and systems. Scripts ensure that you effectively say what needs to be said in the most powerful way with the least amount of effort. We internalize that, and that's how you show up as a professional. It doesn't just show up. Denny, 35 years, right? You've
37.
been saying 37 years. You've effectively been saying the same things to buyers and sellers in different ways for 37 years. down there in Florida. And I've been saying the same things to buyers and sellers for 15 years. It truly is the responsibility of helping them make a decision. No matter what is shifting, it's always shifting. So
yes, and if you and you don't have to be in it 20 or 30 years to understand the nuances. It's kind of like if you I didn't play really high level sports. I rode the bench. That's why I can run now and my joints don't kill me. It's just the speed of the game. The thing that you guys can learn that are watching this from like the Bold Cadre, and you've got a lot of coaches with many, many years experience in a lot of different disciplines, is we have a level of perspective that it takes years to develop. Now you can learn an open house like in a weekend or however, it's the nuances that are amazing. Like for example, when you go in to get your arm x-rayed, how can the doctor see that crack in your bone and you're looking at it, I don't see a crack in the bone.
right.
This is what Bold will do for you. And we just got finished with interview with Aubrey, and you know what? Her first year, she took Bold, and she told me what she got out of it. I happen to be her Bold coach. Then she took again with Jake, and she got something completely different out of it. And it's such a contrast that Molly, there was a comment, and I understand the comment when in one of the Bold chats in the last week or two, somebody said, well, hey, look, this was in Bold last time. Let's get something new. Gary says, no, until we master the basics, there is nothing new. It's about mastering the basics. And the coaches here, including Molly and I, want to help you get there faster. That's why we're doing these things.
Denny, we're not talking to new agents here either. Like I trust that there is 1, 2, 15, 25, 150 mega agents like you and I listening to this message as well, because how many years has Aubrey been in the business, Denny?
3.
How much did you learn from her in the last couple days?
There you go.
It has absolutely nothing to do with your status, how long you've done anything. A true Bold person, someone who is rooted in this environment, in this growth model, which in my opinion is one of the best business growth models on the planet, if not the best one, is to understand that every finish line comes as a new starting line. Every single time you think you've made it, you realize you haven't, and that's part of the joy. At first, that feels a little daunting, and for some folks who haven't adopted it yet, regardless of your success level, it can be an opportunity to grow within itself, just that process. Yet once you really embrace that, there's so much joy and magic in that, in just being so learning based, that everything that happens in your world is an opportunity to grow. People say all the time, like, why are you so happy? Why do you have such positive energy? Well, because everything that's going on is just an opportunity to have a better life. And I can't even fathom why that wouldn't get everyone excited as I am. So
that's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, this is, we didn't plan this. This is just coming out. We're almost up to our time. We'll cut and we'll do another one. We'll have some role plays. So what is one message you would like to get across when it has to do with understanding the market, or anything you want to leave the group with on this little niblet?
Be purposeful about it. This is not something you can't just say like, oh, I'm not good at numbers, or, oh, I'm not great at research, or, oh, I don't understand. Let all those excuses go and just get purposeful. Any person, Denny, in fact, you just said it, and you said it so well, and it just blew my mind at the end of the last Bold Coaches Corner. It's impossible to fail at real estate if you work at it. And this is no different. And I'm not talking like shut your entire life down and put yourself in a research mode. No, spend 15 minutes a day looking at what's going on in the market, virtually visiting some properties. Find out, why did that house have 15 offers and sell in 1 day, and that house only had 3 offers and sold in 12 days? Really start to get to know that and just have some fun with it. The compound effect of just getting after it and being purposeful about your knowledge base, within a year, you'll be shocked at the professional you show up as.
Great advice. I'm going to end with this, you guys. We're going to focus on the market of the moment, which is the, getting sellers off the fence. Why? Because the sellers basically have everything in their favor. It's white hot. I love that word. They're getting top dollar plus. I love that. That's music to their ears. It was, as Molly corrected me on my spelling, the GOAT market, greatest of all times, right? Here's the thing. It doesn't get better. It may go on for a while. I don't know when it'll end. However, there's a bigger chance of it turning down than going up. Now, sellers can stay put. I'm talking to agents right now. If you're struggling in this market right now, It's not going to get easier. This is as easy as it gets. And if you don't have any sellers biting, buyers are lined up praying for someone to help them buy a house.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage you to get plugged in, change the way you look at things. The things you'll look at will change, and you too can have a business like Aubrey's, and one that's basically shift proof.